No Japanese info by Japanese people. Then, count on me! Hey there, it's Naoto. Guys, I have a question today. Look at here. I have some beans. This kind of small ones. And the question is this. Have you ever thrown beans at your home saying something out loud? Well, did you catch that? Have you ever thrown beans at your home saying something out loud? It sounds odd no matter how I slice it. Fair enough, maybe there should be the case like if you're getting pissed by something so much and you just throw beans which you are about to put in your mouth. Though I think it's not usual way to treat beans at all. In any case, here's the thing. Every year on February, we Japanese throw beans at home saying Oniwa Soto. This is a seasonal ritual in Japan called Setsubun, which I'm going to talk about this time. So, what is Setsubun in the first place? Conventional wisdom in Japan says Setsubun is on 3rd February. But actually, to my surprise, this year, 2021, Setsubun is exceptionally on 2nd February, which is the first time in 124 years, and that's because of the period of the revolution of the Earth about the Sun. Frankly, I was believing that Setsubun is on 3rd February every year without fail. And when it comes to what Setsubun per se actually signifies, I can say that Setsubun is a kind of borderline on each season. So the name of it literally means seasonal division. And that's why there are actually 4 Setsubuns every year, even though today we usually mean solely the day of the division between winter and spring when we refer to Setsubun. To sum up, the Setsubun, which I'm mentioning today, is a day before the beginning of spring in the Japanese old calendar, which is unusually on 2nd February this year. But still, another important question remains, by which we are seriously puzzled. Why on earth do we Japanese throw beans on Setsubun? This apparently strange ritual to throw beans is called Mamemaki. Well, frankly, we Japanese are not so conscientious about its meaning, including its background, unless there's an opportunity to get to know it. We just throw beans because everyone is doing this. What the heck? Before tackling this question, let's see how we throw beans. Actually, there's one thing which we cannot help associating when we talk about Setsubun. We throw beans, but there is something at which we throw beans. That is Oni, which is a kind of demon in Japanese folklore. Actually, this Oni in Setsubun is said to be representing evil things, such as disaster, disease, on the ground that people in the past thought those kind of evil things occur on the turning point of the seasons. That's the reason why we try to expel Oni representing evil things. In other words, it's in order to welcome spring peacefully. The origin of the ritual on Setsubun goes back to Heian period in Japan, which is around 8th century. The original form of it is called Tsuina. It was applied as one of the imperial ritual to play peaceful year. But the intention of Tsuina was the same as today's Setsubun, to expel evils and welcome peaceful spring. On the day of Setsubun, we prepare some beans beforehand, but there's one condition, which is that the beans you use should be roasted. Because beans are regarded to have a kind of spiritual power, at least on Setsubun, and that's especially applied to beans which is just about to sprout, waiting for spring. You know, the power of sprouting is also the power of its spirit. But if you use no roasted bean, that'll be bad according to the idea of Setsubun. It is said if you forget to collect beans after you throw it, it would sprout, and that would do you harm. Now you got beans. Then here comes an optional thing if you have kamidana at your home, which is a kind of household altar in Shintoism. If you have kamidana, you put beans on kamidana. In other words, in front of the gods enshrined in kamidana. By doing so, beans get more powerful. Now, all the preparation is done. We are ready for Mamemaki. You can throw beans! But let's run over the main point of Setsubun briefly. On Setsubun, we throw beans in order to expel evil things on seasonal turning point, as well as in order to welcome spring peacefully. In response, there are actually 2 ways to throw beans. The one is, as I mentioned, to throw beans at Oni, which is representing evil things. However, Oni is invisible, but you have to be conscious about Oni every time you throw beans. So, you open the window of your house and throw beans to outside, saying one unique phrase out loud. The phrase is Oniwa Soto. which means Oni should be outside. Meanwhile, there's the other way to throw beans, as I said, but this one seems not like throwing beans. It should be rather scattering. It's in order to welcome happiness to your home. Unlike Oniwa Soto, which means evils should be outside, the phrase for inside the house is this: fukuwa uchi, which means happiness should be inside. So it's like evils out, happiness in. Evils out, happiness in. Evils out, happiness in. You can do it several times until you think, alright, I've done it enough. Then you close the window so that Oni can't come inside of the house. Now Mamemaki is finished. Then people do other things in addition to that. One is to eat beans as numbered as one's age, with a wish for healthy and peaceful year. For instance, I'm 24 years old now, so I eat 24 beans. Eating beans is based on the idea that beans have spiritual power, that's why we also try to absorb it. Another thing people do is to eat Ehomaki. This is actually a strange ritual. Frankly, people in the east side of Japan seem to be not so familiar with Ehomaki. Actually, I'm the one, but people eat Ehomaki playing for all the best. One more thing which I found so interesting is Hiragi Iwashi. This is it! Well, looks strange, doesn't it? This is a set of Force Holy. Well, now I have to add that this Force Holy is not widely spread on the globe. But anyway, Hiragi Iwashi is a set of Force Holy and a head of sardine. Some people put Hiragi Iwashi at the entrance of their house on Setsubun, and that is to protect their house from evil things. Well, this is a general explanation why people make Hiragi Iwashi. If you Google it, probably you get this kind of explanation. But hey, wait! We have to be sober and think, is it convincing? At least it struck me as implausible when I heard it first time. Because, who the hell come up with such a crazy idea to cut the head of sardine and stab it on the top of Force Holy, let alone put it at your house entrance? And who would say, oh yeah, this is useful to protect my house? What the heck? In any case, this apparently crazy idea seems to come from unveiled, which is Japanese esoteric cosmology. Actually, unveiled gives us a huge impact when it comes to Japanese traditional rituals. It's devilishly complicated to understand, so I'd like to stay away from explaining it in detail this time, although unveiled is very an important element of Japanese culture, and it is effective on Setsubun as well. What unveiled is intending on Setsubun is to control Feng Shui in order to welcome spring. Well, if I put it one word, unveiled is trying to decrease the power of winter and empower the element of spring. Now, back to Hiragi Iwashi. It can be written in Japanese kanji letters, like this. Perhaps you are not familiar with our language, but that's okay. This kind of letter is called kanji and originally imported from China. Each kanji letter has a meaning, and some kanjis are constituted by a combination of plural kanjis. In such cases, we can divide kanji, and this can be applied to Hiragi Iwashi as well. Now, let's take Hiragi. This can be divided like this. The letter on the left means wood, whereas the one on the right means winter. In this way, Hiragi is representing winter according to the idea of unveiled. Meanwhile, as for Iwashi, which means sardine, I can divide it like this. The letter on the left means fish, which can be regarded as a sort of thing related to water. And this water is actually an element of winter in unveiled. On the other hand, the letter on the right side means weak, a kind of negative expression. In this way, Iwashi, sardine, can be regarded as a thing for weakening the element of winter. In short, the ritual to put Hiragi Iwashi at the entrance of your house is to put winter outside and welcome spring. That's the idea of unveiled. And these are what we do on Setsubun. Thanks for watching. See you next time on the Japanalyst.